Welcome to the Ideal Spaces Working Group podcast.
Spaces podcast hosted by Ulrich Gehmann and Grant Rainham, with Mustafa Sherif being active in urban planning. Mustafa, if you could introduce yourself and say some words about you.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for this invitation. Also, thanks to all the listeners listening to us. So, I am Mustafa Sherif. I'm made and raised in Baghdad, Iraq. Then we moved to Sweden because of the war in my country. So here I studied urban planning and design, and also did some studies in Milano within architecture and Politecnico di Milano. And then I started working as urban planner, placemaker, and also studio manager here in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay, this is quite an interesting and active way you presented here. Regards the urban planning activities and your experiences in the urban planning sector, what is about the topic of community building in
community is a core to what we work with, especially when it comes to urban design, urban planning. But unfortunately, in many of our processes, we might invite community, but we don't listen to them. That's why a lot of what we plan and design is not really working, because it's not really integrated with the community needs, dreams, and visions.
Why this difference? Why this hiatus between officially inviting communities, but de facto not considering their wishes and hopes and dreams?
A lot of aspect. One of aspect is sometimes maybe community wish for big things that is not really realistic for the project, for the budget, for the time frame. So this one that makes planners or designers or cities don't really consider what communities wish for. This is one. The other aspect is we as professionals, and practitioners, we are so much into our handbooks, regulations, our experience, that we sometimes get blind of what community asking for. So we ask them and we collect data from what they want, but we don't really implement it in our proposals. And it's because we are not so used to listen. Second, because we are so stressed with the deadlines, with the budget, with the regulations, so we don't see possibilities. And with sometimes maybe community asking for very basic things, like a shadow to sit under, or a bench, or a public toilet, or some trees, but we don't listen, we don't see it, because we are so much into our way of working, and we don't open up to it, communities. And there are many other aspects as well. One of them is like the way we work as a process. We usually do research, site visit, sketching, talking with the different stakeholders, making a draft of proposal, book back and forth. Then we make a final proposal, and then it goes to legislation. But in our process, we didn't open it up for a real community, that we sit with people. We sketch with them, we listen to them, back and forth with people and community, not only with the stakeholders. So it's also how we were, it's our process. The last years of designing and making city is not really opening it up for a real community input.
And in working with cities, quote unquote, there's two aspects that we found is there's the public aspect, there's the public sector, and then there's the private sector.
Yeah.
And when you're doing your urban planning, how much is it affected by those two sectors, or is one sector more influential in that than the other?
Yeah, of course, for the private sector, they have more space to play with, or like they can be more creative and maybe less bureaucratic. But in the end, both of them should really follow the regulations, and where that is, and follow like a formal, official planning process. And there where we got stuck and we get less creative, because we always need to follow specific rules that limiting us from inviting community or be more creative. So in my opinion, we need also to rethink these rules and process and legislation and all of this.
And also, like, two aspects that seem to be very important in planning are the green aspect, whether you call it parks or whatever. And the other big thing that we've been finding is that the question of mobility in the city, the movement of traffic, the movement of people, that seems to be a very big problem in cities like Rome, Milan, Los Angeles, so forth and so on. And when you're doing your urban planning, are you really trying to find solutions for the future in that?
Yeah, like hopefully, like in everything we do, we are like find the solution to challenges we face today, but also for the future. Sometimes I feel like we don't really plan for the far future. We look maybe 5 years or 10 years, and this is a very short time in cities age. It's really nothing if you think about making cities. But yeah, now it's a lot of, when it comes to traffic and mobility, a lot of challenges we have, like the shifting from cars to public transportation, and then we need to add bike lines for more like sustainable way of commuting in cities. And also we have these interesting machines like electrical bikes, electrical scooter, electrical something that people are using. So we start, like, cars are being pushed out of city centers and replaced with buses, with different transportation mini machines for micro mobility. And also what we see now, a lot of new functions that we need to add, like a mobility hub. Suddenly we need to have to add a new house to have all the cars or different transportation, and so on and so on. So when we do planning, now it's not business as usual. Now, like, the traffic is absolutely one of the main factors of shaping the different areas, and the buildings that need to support traffic. You need a specific number of car parking. You need a number of bike parking. You need a number for mobility house, bus stations. So all this taking not only roads and street, but also like a space in terms of buildings.
And in the green aspect, I mean, we know that green is a big subject, especially in Europe. But let's not talk green. Let's say about the functionality of having more public spaces with trees, with parks, where people can meet, where people can go have a coffee and talk to one another and get away from their computers, for instance. Is that key in your design planning now?
Yeah, of course. We team up always, at least here in Sweden and Stockholm. When we do these planning projects, we have always with us landscape architects and also expert within climate, expert within ecology. So these people, these professionals will advocate for the green spaces, both for in terms of like green spaces for people, but also green spaces for the ecosystem. So sometimes I tell this my friends in other like cities or countries laugh. Here, some of plans stops or paused because the ecological report shows that in this area that will be planned, there are species of frogs that pass, and we need to be careful and find a solution for them, for these little frogs to pass so the ecosystem will function. Or I give you another example. There's like a study about this area. It's important for bats in the night.
Mhm.
So we need to be careful, like how we place buildings and cars, because the light will affect them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm very happy that like in Stockholm we are in this level that we are considering the green element in planning and design very important, and we also have a, like the Stockholm city, for instance, have a specific way of grading different projects. It's called green area factors. So you get a point for different elements you have in your plan, like for a green roof, for a bench, for grass, for trees, and so on and so on. And then they can evaluate if this plan or this design is actually supporting the green aspect of making cities. And it happens a lot that a proposal with a very low this green aspect or point, like number of points for this green aspect, then the architects or the planners read new to adjust it. And if you visit Stockholm, you will see it's a green city, a lot of water, and in Sweden there's something called allmänrätten, which means that a lot of spaces should be open for public. It shouldn't be privatized. And there's now a huge movement in the city to open up a waterfront, to take care of the green spaces and not like really build on it, even if the population is getting higher. And a lot of people from different part of Sweden and globally moving to Stockholm for job opportunity, for education, and so on. But really, like this green element is becoming more and more important when the city and population is like increasing and expanding.
Yep, this is clear. This is an important aspect. I want to refer in these regards to a symposium we had recently, 2 or 3 years ago. We called it a natural city. And the natural city is, as one aspect, is the green aspect. Okay. The other aspect of the natural city is to live in communities, means in the sense of places, placemaking. Seen from this aspect of placemaking, according to your experience, which are the critical success factors needed for making places in the direction of community building?
It's a very good question and difficult to answer, but I will try my best to give like my recipe. And I also love to hear from you about different ingredients in this recipe. So I think the absolutely most important when we talk about community is community. So it's very basic that as soon as, say, a property developer or a city or an organization, they have an idea to develop something. And if they want it really like to be community, to serve community, so we should invite community already in the beginning when we start to talk about vision. It's not only like that we invite them when we have a done proposal. We need to bring them in the absolutely beginning of the journey, to sit with them and say, we have this idea, how can we make it happen, what is your input, so that we really translate this buzzword like co-create to a reality, that I as an architect or planner sit together with people and together sketch and bring ideas to life. So I think one element or success factor is actually to sit down with the community and do the process together, not only with the financial stakeholders like a city or property developer or transportation agency, and so on and so on. So for me, this is a success factor also based on what we work with. And then the other is that have different disciplines in the team. Of course, sometimes it's very difficult because its budget is always limited, but it's so important that not only one perspective leading this kind of project. It's always good to have a diverse of people with diverse technical and expertise. As I told you, like when we sit here and do urban design or urban planning, we don't have only, let's say, planners or traffic engineers or architect. We try to bring team with different perspective so they can also advocate professionally for different aspects. So I recommend that we always good to have different experts within a project, even if it's like it doesn't need to be so many hours, maybe few hours needed just for the input or for the feedback. And also the other or one more ingredients is the collaboration on the like professional city level. Sometimes you you need, of course, to follow rules by the book, but sometimes cities can make life easier for communities for development project, and by tweaking the rules, by maybe creating a new rules. So like bureaucracy becoming more like creative than boring and very restricted. Of course, all should follow rules and so on, but sometimes you can figure out a way so this development maybe go a bit faster, or you can make it easier for them to build something, and so on and so on. So this, like I call it, or it's already famous creative bureaucracies, also big festival and book and so on, that you can actually be creative within your bureaucratical system. Yeah, what else? Yeah, this use of digital tools and not digital tools, it's important. Recently, I see a lot of project relies on digital platforms to collect data. Oh, what do you think about this place? Can you rate it from 1 to 5? Can you post a picture? Can you give input? So it's very good that we have these digital tools. We can collect a lot of data from people who might not be able to visit us or to talk with us or to meet with us somewhere because they are maybe busy traveling or having like jobs and so on and so on. But the thing is, we start to forget about the one-to-one physical meeting with a community to collect input. So we rely on data, but not so much on this qualitative to sit, to talk, to understand what is behind the data. So I think a key or success factor is this combination of digital tools, but also a lot of this just meeting with the tea and cookies with the community and talk like normal humans.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know what do you think? I guess you have more.
Uh, it- I think the most critical success factor, according to the podcast we made and also the experiences we gathered in the framework of our foundational work, in the end, it's the dialogue. It's exactly what you mentioned, to have this physical one-to-one relation and
Mm,
to really try to understand what your partner in the dialogue is trying to say to you, huh?
mm,
And trying to incorporate it. This is the most important thing, because the capacity and the capability, it's both, for having
mm.
a true dialogue
Yeah.
is according to our experiences in our foundational work, is
Mm,
lacking. It's diminishing. We have
mm,
many pseudo dialogues in a talk show like manner.
mm.
No dialogue.
Yeah.
Dialogue is to let the other speak,
Mm,
to bring forward the points,
yeah.
of importance, and then to even accept that we cannot agree in the end, that he will keep his her opinion and
Yeah,
I will keep my opinion,
yeah,
and it is okay.
yeah.
Uh,
I think also I think your points are really, really well taken, Mustafa, but I think also I think there's a lot of discussion, whether it's architectural, whether it's in urban planning, whether it's
Mm.
in the city, but there's very, very few people that really offer solutions.
Yeah.
And the solutions are the key to building, I would think,
Mm.
because like you can talk and talk and talk, but I think at a certain point you have to offer directions
Yeah.
that are beneficial to the family, to the community, to the self,
Yeah.
and people living in the city. So I think that's one major factor that I see,
Mm.
and I think that's important, like in regards to that, um, in the world today, the bigger cities, if we can use those as the model, uh,
Mm.
there's been a lot of problems in the central cores of the city.
Yeah.
Uh, there's been a lot of failure, companies moving out. It started with COVID, we know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of empty building space in the middle of cities.
Yeah.
Businesses have moved all out. Also, like it's lost its public dimension, if I
Yeah.
can say that. And do you see that in Sweden as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, we like huge affected by this empty offices.
Mhm.
And it is, I don't have the number here in my hand, but it's a real challenge that we face in big cities and small cities here in Sweden, because a lot of work is being done remotely. And also there started a kind of this mini co-working space in the suburbs that makes people not even travel to the city center, because it takes a lot of time to travel to the city center. So
Mhm.
people save time and energy by staying at home, or like going to these like cafes or mini co-working hubs. And also in Sweden, many of the companies have this like 3 days from office, do 2 days from home.
Ah,
But it's still, offices are empty. There are like startups trying to create a digital platform, so these spaces, offices, can be rented out to like associations, to book clubs, to anybody who wants to do an activity, so there is a space for them.
hmm.
So this is like one of trying to like make use of these empty spaces. What is happening now, a lot of companies start to move from their offices and join other companies, so they can make like a compact office,
Mhm.
instead of just sitting few people in a very large office. So this way of like saving money, but then we still have a lot of empty offices. There's like a huge opinion about how can we redesign offices so they
Mhm.
can contribute to the solution of housing issue we have in Stockholm.
Mhm.
But this one is like more abstract or like futurist. It's like in the future, nothing like practical happening now, not even a test bed or something, but a lot of opinions. Okay, what can we do about these offices?
And do you feel that, from your point of view, what is the best repurposing of these office spaces? Or not even the office spaces, let's talk about the
Mhm.
commercial spaces that are
Yeah,
empty on the main floors of
yeah, yeah,
buildings, for instance.
yeah. We have different choices. One choice is to tear down the entire building, remove it, and build something new. But it's a bit stupid from the resource and climate point of view,
Mhm.
because it's waste of resources. We already wasted so much resources and build a useless building, or
Mhm.
maybe a building that is not functioning today. So we already spent some resources, and it will be not smart to remove it and rebuild again, because then we will take more from from nature. So this is one solution. Even if this might sound very crazy, it's cheaper to remove a building. Unfortunately, that's why a lot of property developers just remove a building, like tear down the entire building and build a new one because it's cheaper
Mhm.
than like maybe repurposing or rebuilding and so on and so on. So the other option is to bring creative architects and try to repurpose the building so it gives as you mentioned gives solution to the challenges, not to give only design but a solution to our needs today. And one of my colleagues, he's a senior architect, he is in love with, there is a kind of like these big industrial buildings here in Sweden, Stockholm. I ask him, and he says these are the best buildings. I tell him why they're like industrial. What's the special with them? He told me that the dimension of the height of the roof, the windows, and the generous space makes us repurpose this building so easy. So these kind of buildings, there are some buildings you can repurpose it easier because the dimension of it. Some buildings are made and designed only to one specific function,
Mhm.
which is very difficult to repurpose it. But some of other buildings, they have a good base for repurposing it. So it's also a challenge for us. Like now when we design, of course, we need to put in our mind when you design, like maybe this is a housing, this is a office, this is a school. At the same time, are we really thinking about what happened in, say, 20 years when we need to repurpose these buildings? Can we do that? Are these buildings flexible or not? So these are like a kind of ideas to how do, yeah. So this is on the physical aspect
Mhm.
of working with buildings and how to bring life to these empty spaces. Usually when we talk of placemaking, there are three different important elements. One is the hardware, like the physical building.
Mhm.
The second is software, activities in these buildings. And the third is orgware, which like organization. Maybe a person or organization should take care of a place and make sure that there's something happening. So like this, the empty offices, empty spaces in the downtown, we have buildings, but we need someone to bring life. I don't know, by activities, by renting out, by like marketing, so other startups and offices can maybe come back. So buildings in itself cannot talk and cannot do so much if we don't combine it with this software and orgware and activate it. So we need to make sure that there is a like plan. How do we activate? Which target group do we have to attract so this area will be livable? What kind of mix of different groups, different activities, so we don't end up having only one thing happening in the morning. No, but there is a life in different season, different time of the days, different months. So it's like these three elements we need to think about to make a place or a space livable, like orgware, sorry, hardware, software, and orgware.
Mhm.
This is it's a very coining a distinction, and I think it's in practical terms it's a very a very good practical distinction. And the interlinkage, the playing together of these three components
Yeah.
makes the city alive or not in the end. No?
Mm.
As regards buildings, on the base of the hardware. Another aspect as regards the software.
Yeah.
If you take the software in a wider sense, in the terms of sociability, of how people treat and behave to each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
relate this to community, to an ideal of community,
Mm.
what could be an ideal in a positive sense, an ideal of community in these new cities to be reshaped today.
Mm. Mm.
This is one point. And the
Yeah.
other point is what's about cultural heritage. If we rest on the assumption that for a vivid community, for instance, a neighborhood community,
Mm.
needs a public places, it needs cultural heritage in the end, because
Mm.
many public places are inherited. What do you
Mm.
think about these two domains?
I can start with the first one,
Mhm.
and what like kind of ideal active community in cities that will bring life to cities. The first thing is that I cannot decide about an ideal community. The communities are different, different cultures, different backgrounds, countries, interest. So each community have their own like superpower and interest and love. So they should form their cities and bring life to it according to what they like their values, and also with
Mhm.
respect to all other values as well for the other communities. What I see is working from different areas in Sweden, out of Sweden. You have this infrastructure, like physical infrastructure, that makes community meet each other.
Mhm.
This can be from maybe a library, this can be from public spaces, this can be markets, like these basic functions that we learn in university. What a city, like a city, what should it have? Like these different functions. All this should lead to people meet each other to exchange product, ideas, cultures, and so on. So first we need like a place. We cannot say, oh, there's no community here, there is not active community here. At the same time, there is not physical place hosting community.
Yep.
So first we need to make sure that we have infrastructure,
Mhm.
like these main elements, and then invite community. It's organic. Community maybe need more than library. They need, I don't know, maybe they need something else, or they need more things. So it's also organically uh, co-created or developed. A city is never finished. So the community by themselves, maybe they need a church, maybe they need a mosque, maybe they need a place for workshops and remaking things or furniture. So it's response to their need, and they can make it and build it. And then we always need this kind of orgware that bring the community together, and it's done by maybe organizations, by schools, by students, by people just think that we like to cook. So
Mhm.
there should be um, maybe I don't know if we should say financial or bureaucratical, or there should be some help for this kind of initiative to flourish.
Yeah.
That's how you can, maybe there is a group of artists like to teach children about painting, or maybe there is a group of old seniors who likes to like walk around and talk about history. So this kind of activities also bring community together, and there should be uh, an official organization that listening to communities need. That's how there is a dialogue between this community and the different stakeholders, so that they feel they are listened to. The area is active, so they can come with ideas, so they can take care of their place, so they feel they are involved in this making of their area. That's why if community how community flourish.
Mhm.
Otherwise, if you don't have the physical buildings to support their activities and meeting, they will not have the chance to meet. If you limit their ideas and activities, they will not flourish and come together and do activities together. If like there is no support for them, they will also just be at home, and that's how like areas dies. Um, if we think about this orgware software, hardware, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it's a big
it's a
topic.
very, excuse me. I interrupted you. Please continue. Mhm.
No, like community is a big topic, and there is no solution. There are some elements, of course. Sometimes we think that we have a community, like but it's actually there's a difference between community and audience.
Mm.
Sometimes we think, yes, we have a very big communities of 500 members, but are these like community? Do we have dialogue with them, or they are audience? We just send out information, like a property
Mhm.
developer or a city. They
Yeah,
might
yeah,
think, yeah, they might
yeah,
think, oh, we are big, we have a very big community, but is it real community, or do you just like sending your information, one-way information?
yeah.
Community is something, and audience is something else.
Mhm. I think it's a very important point. Also as regards the role of social media, but the general mentality of how to communicate with each other.
Mm, yeah,
It's a difference if I'm sending out infos, no?
yeah, yeah,
Or if I really speak with
yeah,
another person. This dialogue aspect is a big
exactly,
difference.
exactly. And
Mhm.
also like um, a community, it should be a balance between organic and this controlled way of taking care of community and growing community. In the end, we are not controlling robots. We
Yeah.
are not talking about robots community. It's about people, and there should be a space for this spontaneous, for organic growth, and not only forcing, because then there is no life if you
Yeah.
control and plan everything.
Yeah.
We should also accept that things takes time.
Yeah, this is an important aspect also as regards cultural heritage in a wider sense. If you take
Yeah.
social dimension of cultural heritage means
Mm,
grown communities that are
mm,
real communities in the sense that you describe.
mm,
Culture needs place and time to unfold. You cannot create a community, it
mm,
has to develop.
mm.
And this aspect it needs time as a means in the
Yeah,
end needs a kind of history in
yeah,
order to unfold it all. If
yeah.
we combine this with this, we send out infos to an audience,
Uh,
and this audience we then misjudge as a community or
yeah,
misname it at least.
yeah.
These are not communities. They are
No,
just, yeah.
exactly. We have a lot of examples when we see that, say, a property developer or a city, they have a vision for this area. This should be like a cultural hub, or
Mhm.
this should be like a business hub. And you see these areas is so much dead. These areas are dead and not fulfilling the vision. Why? It's because you cannot really force
Get it.
you cannot really force a vision on people if they don't want. They
Yep.
will always respond on the other way. But if you start to co-create with them the vision and give the time, of course, do your best to welcome this kind of activities. And by time the stories co-created, there will be a history. Like this, the vision takes time, but unfortunately, I talk to many of my friends. They're working with like a property development, and they have like these targets that they need to fulfill. Like this building should have so many companies, so they can generate so much money in this time. So
Mhm.
everything is calculated based on maybe square meters and money, but not so much about this organic growth, culture area, and like how people behave.
This is an important point. Question: is there a possibility? I do not want to refresh this idea of the public-private partnerships. These are
Mm.
just slogans, but to keep it with life in that direction, is it
Yeah,
possible that we can?
I think
Yeah.
I think this is the solution for livable places, is the partnership.
Yeah.
Because especially now we see there are wars everywhere. There are a lot of challenges that affect our economy, which means that we have less resources, and we need to be very smart with the money we have, with other, or other resources. And I see a lot of stakeholders, they don't take a risk, or they don't do something because they don't want to take the entire risk, which means that we end up with no one is doing nothing.
Yeah.
But in the future, today and in the future, if we share this risk, if we collaborate, maybe there is no risk, because we collaborate and we both, or we all want this to happen, and we share the responsibility, if it's through financial or resources or I don't know what. But then we have more chances to success, because if the city takes everything, then we exclude. If the private take everything, well, then we exclude. So the way is, again, to sit down together and see, okay, what can I bring to the table? What can you do? How we collaborate? This is also why I love like placemaking method or process, because it invites different stakeholders, communities to table and say, okay, let's do this together. How can you contribute? How can I contribute? Maybe I can contribute with the square meters, but you contribute with watering the plants, or you can contribute with a restaurant, or you can finance the associations, because we have different resources and possibilities, and it's a kind of impossible that one stakeholders will make a city livable. So private public partnership, yes.
In this way you described it, also this would be, in a positive sense, a new way of private-public partnerships in really making cities livable again in the end.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and also like a lot of this is based on relationships, based on like I call them leaders in these different organizations, because this is also new for us. When we talk cities, like we need to change our mindset, our processes, also open up our policies for collaboration, for partnership, is not only say no, property developer stands for this and city stands for this. We need also to create this in-between model and policy that we can collaborate, instead of being afraid, oh, maybe I break the law, oh no, this is written in this, so it's not in our space. Let's not think about it, let's not care about it, and I stick to my area. In this way, we are just different boxes, different organization in different boxes, not talking to each other.
In regards to Scandinavia, Sweden, in the past, like if we go back generations, I think Sweden was a very sort of homogeneous population. And over time, because of, immigration and different cultures coming in and different peoples coming in and people of different religions coming in, how does that affect how you look at your urban design and your placemaking?
Yeah, very interesting aspect. It's the thing with community is so interesting, because you're always learning something new about people's need, activities, and how the way they see cities and life and so on. Now, with different parts of Sweden has this multicultural population, which I see is very interesting from the urban planning and design way, because then you have different communities that also mostly needs places to meet. So in the end, like no matter which community, it results to we need spaces to meet with other members in our community, or with other members from other communities to do something together. So it does not matter if like what kind of community, but the needs are the same. Give us some place so we can show our talents, show what we can craft, show our ideas, and also give us a place when it's snowy and rainy, we can still meet. So it's like indoor place, especially here in Sweden when it's a lot of snow and rain. So these are the needs actually from different communities, no matter what community you ask. So I have been working in different projects. In some project, there's a population from this specific background, from the other background, from the minority.
Mhm.
Respect to all of them, of course.
Mhm.
But when we sit and talk, what they say again, these like very basic needs. We love to have a like an open green space for us to go outside. Yeah, with fellows, with family members, with friends. Also, an indoor place so we can meet, we can do activities, and so on and so on. So in the end, we all like we are as a human are different, of course, but our needs are basic. We want drinking water, we want a toilet, we want a place with a shadow, we want a bench to rest, we want to people watch, we want the green with the fresh air, and so on and so on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is, as mentioned, this is a very important aspect of cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is not only architecture, and the
Yeah,
development of these kind of communities you describe now.
yeah,
This it sounds promising. No? This could be a new approach for
yeah,
revitalizing the existing city.
yeah, yeah. And in Sweden, we have our rules, our way of doing urban planning and design. But in the latest 10 years, there being like initiatives where we invite communities, when we open up for dialogue. And I think not only in Sweden, many other cities, we are going to this direction about
Mhm.
partnership, about inviting people, about do this together, and let it take time. It's fine. We don't need to be finished by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I see what I see is we are going toward cities where it serves community, not serves cars.
Mhm. Mhm. And may I add, it not serves only a profit-oriented building.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a reality that profit-oriented building are facing now, unfortunately for them, is
Yeah.
that, oh, what are we going to do? We have so much empty spaces, we are losing money. So this is a kind of shifting, forcing us to rethink our business models that only built on economy.
Yeah. This could be a chance also for the new kind of private-public partnership you mentioned
Yes,
and
yes, yeah,
outlined.
yeah.
Good. Okay. Yeah, this is there have been important topics. No? In any case, many thanks for this podcast,
Thank
and I think we should continue with this.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
we'll have a continuing conversation a little bit later in the year just to see what's going on. And
yeah.
yeah, thank you very, very much for